Hello and welcome back to Planet Kukov. In this episode, we will be talking about the explosion of diversity of plants and animals. The planet is slowly getting warmer. Just look. But there is another thing. Animals can't get onto the land and die yet because their gills aren't lungs. But now that we're done with that absolute trash introduction, let's start the video. This is the Phytophthoscoto as brown plant, and we will explain later. The reason the plant is orange is because they use carotenoids. These make the plants appear orange instead of the less effective on this planet green. But the orange isn't light. That's because the star of the planet is smaller than the sun. This makes it so plants have to become darker to absorb more of the star's dim rays. Also, the plant has a way of reproducing that is more efficient. It has lots of tentacles on one side of its body, or phylum cellulae, that act as little bits that can catch male spores. That will go into the plant's body. This blob then sits in the plant for 1.5 months, then comes out of a groove to grow. The plant would shrivel up and die after this process because it's very energy consuming. These plants would quickly spread across the oceans and seas, becoming the #1 oxygen producer. As more and more oxygen goes into the oceans, more complex life can evolve. This is the Dendrophoritas. It resembles a tree, but it's not. Instead of bark, it has a thin jelly-like structure covering its body. It also is like an earth lily pad as it floats up to the surface to escape predation. This is a photo of it of the surface, with its roots dangling below. These plants would spread oxygen and small bits of hydrogen sulfide into the atmosphere. This would turn the skies blue with slightly yellow clouds. Now that we have talked about some plants, let's talk about the many animals. This is the Sariromprum. It has a red pigmented skin. Because of the eumelanin in their body, it also has become slightly thinner to swim faster. These animals would keep their primitive ways of swimming in schools, but they would only do it in rivers to keep order. If one of them went the wrong direction and went the wrong way, it would get left behind. This is the Cavoriromprum. It has kept its ancestors' red pigment, and it walks on the deep part of the sea floor. It uses its old flippers as legs to walk on the sea floor. Most of the small bones in its body have shrunk and its fat amounts have grown. It would walk around hydrochloric vents and eat the small microbes in it. These would be one of the first decomposers on the planet, and they would be really important to the ecosystems by producing hydrogen sulfide, which would dissolve in water. Its eyes would also become slightly more complex, with an organ behind the eye helping it see by making the dark more light. These creatures would only swim in the bottom, because if they went to the top, other animals would eat them. Now that we are done with that, let's talk about another plant, or fungi. This is the Phascotomycetes. It is quickly branching away from being a plant and is now becoming a fungi. It would only grow out of dead plants and animals. Its body would become thinner and roots shorter, because the roots wouldn't be used for water, but for puncturing the flesh of animals. Now that lots of new animals are evolving, maybe more niches will join too. This is the Therioparvis. It is like the plankton of this ecosystem, but it can still use its fins to swim. so it would be classified of shrimp, I guess. Its tail has a dark blue color because it repeatedly beats its tail around to swim away from other animals trying to eat it. This animal wouldn't really be able to hunt, so it would most likely feast upon the marine snow falling from the surface. Marine snow refers to a shower of organic particles, including dead plankton, fecal matter, and other detritus, slowly drifting down through the water column in the ocean. This process plays a crucial role in nutrient cycling and providing sustenance for deep-sea organisms. They would use their first 3 pairs of limbs to catch marine snow, then put it in their mouth, and the other 4 limbs would be used for locomotion, in a way of beating them against each other to create thrust. Now, because there is a food source that they can use, more animals can evolve. This is the Theriobalena. It is much like an earth whale, but it didn't go water, land, water again, and it evolved so big in the water. Its main food source is the tiny Therioparvus. It's slowly evolving a pair of back legs, and it's about the size of a small shed. It would swim over to the Therioparvus, open its mouth, and suck up the water with the shrimp in it. It uses a balloon-like structure to push water down the small hole in their mouth to be digested. This is what their digestive system would look like. There are lots of plants and animals evolving, but we're not done yet. This is the Phytophylaxis. It has 2 leaves that have small leaves on them. It is all the way brown and is one of the most successful plants on the planet. Its leaves are almost identical. Now, the plant itself isn't really special, after we talked about it all in the introduction of it, but its seeds are also unique. The prepackaged roots on the shears can help it move around. The roots would be normal. Then they would push water away with hydrophobic chemicals. This would cause the roots to shrivel up, and then they would stop producing the chemicals, and the roots would expand a lot.